Good evening and happy Friday to everyone in Chicago. I'm Jerry Vasilatos here at Chicago Corner, and I have two very special guests who are going to be joining me this evening to discuss the Medicare for All March, which is taking place July 24th at Federal Plaza here in Chicago. I would like to introduce and welcome Joy Bunton, who is one of the organizers, and Nimesh, who is also an organizer for this very, very important event that is taking place here in Chicago. Welcome to the show tonight, everyone.
Oh,
thank
you for having us.
So you both were on the regular Hardlands Media show with Kid Cabello, which, oh gosh, I don't want you guys that small. Forgive me, everyone. I'm trying to just kind of jump around with our graphics here tonight to be able to make it as visually exciting as it will be exciting on a verbal and conversational level. So let me bring us all in, I think, equal screens here. There we go. So yeah, you guys were on with Kid Cabello, I think a few weeks back in June, to talk about the Medicare for All March, which is slowly creeping upon us next weekend. And for everyone that doesn't know, these two guests who are joining me have been very, very instrumental, spent a lot of hours, a lot of time with the rest of their team organizing this march and coordinating the speakers that are going to be appearing and advocating on Medicare for All, which I think most of my viewers would agree is a human right. Joy, can you start and tell us a little bit about the organization, maybe when it came together and how you've been involved and what your efforts have been, not only in this march, but in spreading awareness along with our elected representatives here in Chicago regarding this very, very important issue?
Sure. M4M for All, or March for Medicare for All, was started by, it was a brainchild of Sharif Snuggs. And he was frustrated after forced the vote and is tired of this Congress with the stalemates and everything. So he decided, I'm going to do something here in DC. Well, not here in DC, he's in New York, in DC. And he reached out to his friend, Ricky Dunlop. And they were talking about maybe not just DC, maybe also, I forget which other city. And they started talking to other people, and other people were thinking, have something here, something there. And one of my friends contacted me, Renee Johnston, and she said, hey, I'm doing this March for Medicare for All in New York, and they were talking about Chicago, and my name came up because we have this little inside joke, like Joy knows everybody, and I don't know everybody, but it seems like sometimes I know everybody. It's like I know of people, or I am acquaintances with people, but I don't.
You're an organizer here in Chicago. It sounds like you're pretty well connected with other social activism.
Not as much as I'd like, but I am getting better, because I've been aware of a lot of organizations here from social media. I follow a lot of them because I care about a lot of different things. So I'll retweet or I'll share in a lot of different Facebook groups, things like that. And I'll post other stuff. And so I was just doing that. But in terms of Medicare for All, I've been involved with PDAs. Every Sunday, they have an emergency healthcare town hall. So I would always go to that, and that has Dr. Bill Honigman and a lot of the PDA people there, and they've been very active, pushing for Medicare for All.
So I'm going to bring
I thought,
while you're talking, sure. I'm going to take camera off, but I want to bring this screen up. Mm-hmm. This is a national. Yes. This is going to be a national event, and if I can, let me take us all down for a moment so people can see the national schedule.
I'm not sure, just, if it's the most up-to-date, that's the most recent graphic I saw.
Okay. Yeah, but it's going to be a nationwide event, and it's a big deal. Yes. And you've been instrumental in organizing this, Nimesh, yourself also. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and participating as an organizer and helping put this together?
Sure. Well, originally this march was supposed to happen in Washington, D.C., mm-hmm. and other people from around the country just asked those organizers, hey, what about if we can't make it to DC? Can we just do a local one? And look, that's the beauty of this. There's no like national organization. You don't need somebody's permission. There's no executive board and you got to meet with, there's none of that. It's go for it. So they went from one city, Washington, D.C. I think Albuquerque was like number 2 or 3. I'm not sure.
I think so.
And then all of a sudden, every one by one sprouted up. And I just asked Sharif, what about Chicago? And he just told me, yeah, what about Chicago? And he just twisted my arm and just said, listen, right now, in 10 minutes, I need you to do one simple thing for me. Just go online, go to our website, go to Action Network, create an event. That's it. And then he's like, I'm going to email you a local organizer, Joy. He goes, talk to her, and you guys get the ball rolling. So in reality, so many people here in Chicago are working hard for this. So many organizations, so many individuals, so many people. So that's why it's happening. We went from 1 city to 45, which is amazing. And we're going to do this next year, by the way. So this is only the beginning.
Approximately how many boots do you both have on the ground here in Chicago putting this event together right now?
Oh, wow.
That is so hard for me to determine, because in terms of the Mobilize link that we use to sign people up, it's like it keeps growing, but it's like last time I looked it was 100 something. I don't know if it's 200, but apparently, according to Mike Patino, he's thinking we might have several thousand, because he's doing a lot of outreach in the burbs and help bring in Schaumburg area progressives and independent progressive. I forgot the name of it already. I know it's independent progressive. He's gonna kill me. And he's apparently there are buses coming in from Schaumburg, and also there's Medicare for all in Northern Illinois. He's been in there, and I was able to reach out to them, and yeah, they're taking a bus. So people are taking buses.
So that's how many people have signed up through the website, and I just brought the screen up.
Thank you.
Yeah, so people, we do have the link to the website down in our show notes. You can click through to sign up there. I'm going to take this off screen just to focus on the two of you. I want to start by asking. I mean, I know, but I want you to tell our audience why this is so personally important to you to get this march going, and how it personally impacts you, and what's at stake for each of you in pressing forward with this very, very important initiative. Let's start with Joy.
Okay. I was telling you, Jerry, earlier when we spoke today about part of my own personal story that, like in 2004, I was 35 years old, and I wound up with this freaking nature rare illness that's a neuromuscular autoimmune disease called polymyositis, which affects your proximal muscles and makes it harder to stand up and from a seated position, climb stairs, raise my arms. Before I couldn't raise my arm up. It's like when I was at the hospital trying to figure out what it was, they're like, raise your arm, and I'm like, I can't do my camera. Yeah, I'm like, trying to. It was just the hardest thing in the world, just raising my freaking arm. So they were like wanting to do a muscle biopsy and all that, and they ended up not needing to, because they did like the EMG thing, and they were like, oh, your muscles are messed up. So they finally figured out it was polymyositis, and so I was on the CPK muscle enzyme level was crazy high, like 80,000 or something. It's not supposed to be. Like just super skyrocket high, and so they put me on prednisone. And like maybe some months later, it started to affect my lungs a little bit. Lungs are a muscle. And they found out I have mild interstitial lung disease, which makes me high risk for this COVID thing. So I am more conscious about having to wear the mask. And with the Delta variant, even though I'm fully vaccinated, they tested my spike proteins and antibodies, and they're low. So I could still wind up in the hospital or something, but I'm still fully vaccinated, so I still have to wear my mask indoors and everything. But
I would
yeah.
also obviously assume, because I have made no secret of this with my audience, I'm disabled. I have different mobility limitations, but I can only imagine the mobility limitations that you deal with, how the efforts that you're putting into organizing this thing, and I really salute you for that. And when we talk about these medical issues related to disabilities, healthcare and medical costs can literally bankrupt you when you are dealing with the kind of infirmities that you're dealing with here. And I would imagine that has a lot to do with your advocacy as a disabled person, as I'm disabled also, and a Medicare beneficiary, really trying to instill in people the importance of how many people are not covered and need that kind of healthcare coverage.
Right, exactly. Because I was finally getting better, and I was, I guess, kind of like remission. They use the term as if it's like cancer was in remission instead of having a flare up. And I lost my job. Couldn't afford the Cobra. Cobra is like, hundreds of dollars. I'm like, I can't afford that on unemployment. And on unemployment, I couldn't qualify for Medicaid because even though you're unemployed and you're getting whatever it is, they're like, no, that's still too much. You're still too rich to get Medicaid.
You literally have to live out of a garbage can to qualify for Medicaid. I know, because
basically,
I mean, the stipulations are such that nobody. It's literally imposing poverty on people to qualify for things that are life-saving and preventative ahead of time, as opposed to the expensive costs we incur because we don't prevent, or we don't cover people preventatively. We always are reactionary. We're on the other end of the scale. It gets very, very expensive.
Exactly. And I couldn't afford the immunosuppressants because prednisone generic doesn't cost much, but those immunosuppressants, they're ridiculously expensive. So I was like, well, I'll just take prednisone. And so my health got worse. I'm getting weak and everything. And so it wasn't until my unemployment ran out, then I could get on Medicaid and go back to my doctor. My doctor's like, what happened? You were fine last time I saw you. Oh my God,
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
And everybody's got medical horror stories like this out there. Nimesh, share with us what drives you, what motivates you in taking part in this really important initiative.
Well, number one, it's all the other people that are volunteering. It's a lot of people that are just giving it all. That's a huge motivator for me. Sunday, we were like doing our national meeting on Zoom, and I just see like all the little thumbnail pictures. And I think to myself, these people, they have family, they have obligations, and they're giving it all. They're giving it all on behalf to have health care for everybody in our country. And that inspires me. And then also, look, I have so-called good health insurance through my employer. However, the way our system works is it's here today and gone tomorrow. If I lose my job, I lose my health insurance. Or every year, guess what happens to my health insurance? My premium goes up and what I get back keeps going down. So this has been, that's the long-term trend. And that's happening with everybody, even with the people who have so-called good health insurance. And so
share with us also, though, Nimesh, as it relates to your job from a public health perspective, the impact and importance of everybody having health care, especially when it relates to mental health issues, as they affect everyone around us within the community, as it relates to, what we see with crime stats that are related to mental health clinics having closed down and people not being able to get the assistance they might need for mental health, which unfortunately contributes to a lot of the other social issues that we see in crime in Chicago.
Sure. Well, I work as a policeman for the city of Chicago, and a lot of people who have mental health issues do not have health care. And guess who that affects? It doesn't just affect them, it affects all of us. And sometimes I am just like flabbergasted when some people they just think like different neighborhoods, like what? Do they have like the Berlin Wall? No. I mean, so it affects all of us. I mean, there's just no way around it. I mean, people need health care because, I mean, just take a look at perfect example, the coronavirus. It started in China. You have so many different variants, and it affects all of us. Who knows? The next variant may start somewhere, again, halfway around the world. May happen even here in our own country, and it's going to affect us. If COVID-19 has taught us something, that we're all interconnected, and there is no turning back. There's no way around it.
One of the stories that I covered on Heartland's Media this week that relates to the mental health issues that affect the entire community. I was very, very pleased and grateful to read this story that mental health clinicians will start answering some 9/11 calls in Chicago instead of police officers. And this speaks to the issue you're talking about. People can't get the mental health because they don't have the coverage or they don't have the insurance, and all the mental health clinics are closed. This is what contributes to a lot of the problems that we see in the streets, along with the regular medical issues physically that people are dealing with, as Joy or myself has described as an amputee. So I think that healthcare impacts everyone on so many different levels, and when you think of our population paying for insurance, and then they still don't get the coverage they're supposed to get because of the fine print. And paying into the system, I call them the health insurance and the pharmaceutical cartels, because they control our elected representatives. And I was encouraged to see that there will be several guests at the Medicare for All March that will be speaking. Now, I'm not able to bring up all the guests that you have lined up, but it is my understanding, I think, from the website, that there will be, let me open up my notes here that I took before the show. Actually, let me share a little bit with our audience of the stuff that I can't put up on screen here. So this is the mission statement of the organizers of the march. We demand Congress pass improved and expanded Medicare for all now, a single-payer system. Everyone in, nobody out. We demand that healthcare be recognized as a right for all people. We demand that federal budget prioritize healthcare first. Let's see. So far, Medicare for All Chicago has Illinois Single Payer Coalition, PHP Illinois, Medicare for All Northern Illinois, Independent Progressive Alliance, Illinois Green Party, PDA Illinois, Central Illinois PDA, Illinois People's Party, 25th Ward IPO, 33 Ward Working Families. As I'm reading this, I'm imagining the scene at the end of Avengers Endgame, where Captain America's on the field, and all the portals are opening, right?
Yes.
40th United.
Left,
Yes, on your left. United Northwest Side. Access Living, Chicago. Teachers Union. Fight for 15 Chicago. Stop Chicago. Alliance for Community Services. BWOP Chicago. Black Women Organizing for Power. The People's Response Network to COVID-19. Far South Side Chicago Coalition. Southern Illinois People for Progress, and Chicago Afro Socialists, plus Socialists of Color Caucus on board, and many more. Now, thankfully, we are seeing, as we did in the recent Cook County strike, that there are some public officials that will be appearing. First Ward Alderman Daniel Espada, 20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, 25th Ward Alderman Byron Sigcho Lopez, 33rd Ward Alderman Rosanna Rodriguez, 40th Ward Alderman Andre Vasquez, Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson, 14th District State Representative Kelly Cassidy, 7th District State Senator Mike Simmons have also agreed to join you. You are currently trying to get SEIU 73, Sunrise Movement Chicago, Labor for Single Payer, One North Side Grassroots Collaborative, and others on board as well. This is an impressive lineup that you guys have managed to bring together at this event. So how are all of these different organizations reaching out to their memberships to bring them to participate at the march? And of everybody that I've mentioned, maybe both of you can kind of jump back and forth telling us about who will be speaking at the event after the march. And then we can talk about the march itself, where it will start, everything.
I just want to add On Tuesday, Chicago Socialist Alternative officially came on board.
Wonderful.
And I got the text message as we were doing our Zoom meeting. So
Yeah.
it was just great, like how it just like fell into place. And so
Thank you for that.
they were the latest group that just entered the coalition, and they
Yes.
just said, "Oh, Medicare for all, it's a march, everybody's in, great,
Yep.
let's join."
I was so glad to find out they were on board. Yeah. But basically, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you had asked me about these groups' involvement. Unfortunately, because we didn't give as much notice for this, a lot of them aren't able to participate as much as they might probably otherwise want to, because they already have their own agenda things that they're working on and stuff. So they have agreed to share things that I shared with them with their members, and their members can decide on their own, if they want to get involved. So that's basically what a lot of them are doing. But with the Schaumburg area of progressives, they're coming on the bus, and the Medicare for All Northern Illinois is coming on the bus. I think the Independent Progressive Alliance, a lot of them are in the same groups, I think, at least on Facebook. So Mike Patino is connected to those. And so he's been, getting the buses and stuff going on. In terms of Chicago Teachers Union, this is not a good time for them because, they're on, summer. So they usually do their actions, like between, I think I was told between August and May or something, but they're going to share it, so that if any teachers are able to make time outside of trying to recuperate from the busy school year, if they're not teaching in the summer, then hopefully some of them will join us. And in terms of the speakers, we have Dr. Gronemeyer. She's great. She's in like a few groups herself. Like you said, she's with PNHP Illinois, PDA Illinois, and she has her own Southern Illinois People for Progress. And so she's been very helpful. And I didn't know she wanted to speak, but I was trying to get. I had Susan Rogers, the president of PNHP National, but they decided that they would just have local chapters support. And so since she's representative of the national, it's like, well, no, she backed out. I was like, oh, I wanted to have the president. But then Pam Gronemeyer stepped in, and so I was like, oh, you saved me. So, because I really wanted a doctor who supports Medicare for all. And she said
I've
yes.
spoken with doctors. Like I had a couple surgeries last year. I had a knee replacement, and I had shoulder surgery, thankfully covered by Medicare. And, my mother is a retired nurse, so she always will help me when I'm going back and forth from the hospital. And luckily I've been connected with some decent doctors treating me, but we always have this conversation. And it always, when I hear doctors at Midwest Orthopedics at Rush, we need Medicare for all. I mean, there are medical professionals that advocate for this. People say, oh, well, doctors are all worried. They have to make a lot of money to pay for their expensive educations. And it's like, yeah, they do. Nobody denies that. But the cost is out of control. And when you're hearing like surgeons and doctors, very well, I'm not going to name who, but some really well accredited surgeons and doctors over at Rush that I really respect, debating, hearing them debate other people on the importance of healthcare for Medicare for all. It's very encouraging because you've got nurses unions advocating for it, and you have so many in the medical communities also advocating for it. So I understand why it's so important to have representatives of the medical community there speaking, advocating for it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I believe, like the most recent polling that I read, like 50% of physicians of all stripes are now in support for single-payer health insurance.
Ooh, that's great.
And that's the result of a lot of work on the ground. I mean, the first group were nurses. And obviously nurses had conversations with physicians. And I think the second thing that's like really moving physicians in support of single-payer healthcare is because you're seeing more and more physicians being forced into these large hospital chains and these group practices, like, I mean, you see those like Midwest Orthopedic, Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. Chicago's got only 2 major hospitals. What is it?
Northwestern and Rush.
We have University of Chicago too.
Yeah.
That's pretty
the
big.
two medical groups.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I think Advocate and what is it? Northwestern or North
There's
Shore
like a North
Hospital
Shore?
chain. North Shore,
North
yeah.
Shore Network.
Yeah. And 2 years ago they were actually going to merge.
Oh, okay.
So you see, you have these 2 large medical groups, and they themselves have their doctors under a thumb, having worked in all kinds of working conditions. So even physicians now see they see the light that, you know what? Yes, we may be physicians, we may be well compensated, and we may have the top tier education, but look at how we're being treated by these medical groups who see healthcare as a commodity versus healthcare as a human right.
Right. And the impact it has across not just us individually, but our entire society as it impacts our lives, whether it has to do with crime in the community or just people's well-being on their jobs. So tell us the plans for the march, where we'll start, and maybe give us a little bit of what the itinerary is going to be.
We're starting over at across from the Blue Cross Blue Shield building, and what they call Maggie Daly Park. I didn't even know that's what it was called.
by the Prudential building.
Yeah, across from the pretty Blue Cross Blue Shield building.
Yeah.
I actually used to work there, not that building, but before when they were over at Illinois Center, I think it was called. I used to work. That was my first real job.
Oh,
my first real job, but I didn't know at the time that I would really need that excellent health insurance, even though it costs so much more. But back then, I remember before I was working there. I remember when they used to be nonprofit. I don't know what happened with that, but anyway, we're going from there. Sorry. And we're gathering at 11 o'clock, and around noon, we're going to go down Randolph, Columbus, until Michigan, turn on Michigan, take it all the way down to Adams, make a right, take that all the way down to the Federal Plaza.
Starts at 11 on the 24th. Sign up and be there. Please, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, thanks.
People mark the details now,
Yeah, it's good to put the details. We also included like the details in the accessibility section of Mobilize.
Yes. And let me read that really quickly, because you did send that to me really quickly, since I've got it right in front of me. Access Living has provided you with an ASL interpreter and a disabilities activist named Curtis Harris to be a speaker.
Yes.
You've requested 2 porta potties at the Federal Plaza, 1 with wheelchair access, which includes 2 hand sanitizing stations. You are requesting people wear masks, even if they're fully vaccinated and socially distanced due to the COVID-19 Delta variant. Very, very smart. I'm vaccinated. I wear my mask. I think that people have politicized mask wearing. I still, oh my God, it's not
crazy.
It's a medical issue. And I have debates and arguments with people now who are once worked in the medical field, who are now retired, that just watch too much goddamn Fox News.
Oh, no.
It blows me away. It's
terrible.
like, how it's a mask. You used to wear a mask when you did surgery, and you knew why. And why is it so? It's not political. It's simply a precaution. Everybody, no one should be offended by.
Exactly.
The accessibility section on the Mobilize sign-up page has been updated, and I do have the sign-up page there per Access request. And this event does meet ADA standards. Let me also mention a couple of the speakers. Once you get from Maggie Daly Park to Federal Plaza, you've also got NNU Medicare Leadership School graduate Martese Chism, Access Disabilities activist Curtis Harris, and activist Jamal Green, who we've also had on the show to talk about his Majesties All-Star Initiative on the South Side.
Oh, good.
Yeah, check the archives. I've had him on the show twice. It's been a pleasure to have him as a guest. You also have received a speaker request from Illinois B candidate Junaid Ahmed. Ahmed is running against Representative Raja Krishnamurthy, who doesn't support Medicare for all. 2 other candidates have reached out to your group. Raleigh Bowman, Illinois 5, and Keena Collins, Illinois 7. And you anticipate receiving speaker request forms from them and others soon.
Well, it turns out that we deliberated it, and it looks like the only speaker that's a candidate will be Junaid Ahmed, and I'm hoping this isn't the way the others find out. I need to reach out to them.
Okay.
Because I like them. It's a difficult decision that we didn't want it to be overwhelmingly, with all these candidates, even though they won't. Yeah, too political.
It shouldn't be a stump. It should be about what the issues are and what people are going to be doing, what our elected representatives need to start doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Junaid, he's a candidate, but he's going to have to agree to do more things for Medicare for all. Mm-hmm. And that's despite whether he wins or loses his the seat that he's going to run for.
Right.
I
spoke with him earlier.
No more taking elected officials or people who are aspiring politicians for their wards. No more.
We already saw this happen, which is what led to force the vote, which led to nothing.
Yep. So what are you going to do for us? Actions, deeds, not words.
I would also, share there, Nimesh, that if these Democratic elected officials don't get off their asses, midterms are done. Midterms are, as far as I'm concerned, right now the midterms are a wash because, frankly, I shared this with Kit and Daniel on Slack before I came on the show tonight. I want to get this trending. I want to start trending hashtag President Mansion, hashtag VP Cinema, hashtag Change My Mind. Because that you've got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris blaming everything on two Democratic moderates in Congress when we have all these other Democrats that are kowtowing to neoliberal agendas that are funded by pharmaceutical donors, medical health care donors. There's no red or blue right now in our elected representatives. It's the purple party because they're both doing the same damn thing. And as we have, it's certainly impressive that we do have a pretty large roster that I mentioned earlier of representatives from here in Chicago that will be in attendance, although they won't all be speaking. We're there to cause a ruckus. I'm going to steal that phrase from AOC since she really isn't causing the ruckus anymore. Maybe the rest have to cause the ruckus.
That's okay. We'll cause the ruckus.
We'll cause the ruckus. Get the noise. Get eyes on the crowd that's going to be there and start making demands from our elected representatives. And beyond the march and the speeches and the speakers that are going to be appearing on Saturday the 24th at Federal Plaza, what happens after that? How do we take our message from the streets to, unfortunately, a lot of our elected representatives that are not acting right now? Is it going to be a matter of threatening them during the midterms and really embracing other candidates who emerge? Here over at Chicago Corner at Hard Lens Media, we're really hoping to be able to vet the progressive candidates that walk the walk and talk the talk and walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And then once they get in, they're focused on all kinds of other things that aren't really benefiting the people who put them there in office.
Yes. Well, Sharif, the brainchild, he has started working on steps that we're going to be asking people to take because, like Nimesh said, that we plan to have this every year. Even though right now I can't imagine doing this again, but I'm going to need to recuperate. But we're going to be having people take actions. And I think we're going to be having a petition that we're going to ask people to sign. We've already had some tweet storms. One of them was demanding for Biden to do an executive order according to section. Oh, thank you. Yes, that.
I had him queued.
Bam. Our graphics people are just awesome. I love them.
They are.
Yes.
Nice
Shout out. Yep. Shout out to Shane.
He's choosing not to. He is choosing not to. He ran on saying he was going to offer a public option. Then, like many other things, he pulled the rug out from under us on that. Affordable education, student debt relief. He is Trump with a kinder, gentler, grandfatherly face. both demented, but Trump the ugly one, and Biden hoodwinking everybody that he's like, the old grandfather out on the porch waiting for Kamala to jump in after he leaves. But yeah, this is just like, I couldn't imagine with our progressive caucus, the quote unquote squad, the absolute abdication that we're witnessing. And now the fingers are being pointed at Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, because they don't have Mitch McConnell or anybody, or I'm sorry, the parliamentarian who's not even elected. We've got the parliamentarian. He doesn't want to. He's choosing not to. Nor is Nancy Pelosi, nor are any of these corporate neoliberal Democrats. And I call them Republican light, and I call the Republican. Look, the Democrats are Republican light, and the Republicans are batshit crazy. We don't have any real strong left protecting the rest of us in the working class, those who are struggling, our essential workers, our frontline workers, our minimum wage workers. And I'm sorry, I'm filibustering. Please jump in.
Well, Jerry, we can't control what Nancy Pelosi is going to do, but you know what we can control? What we can do.
Yes.
And what we can do is we're doing right now. We're going to organize, and then we're going to mobilize the people towards actions. And
right.
You know what? The power that we, the people, have is nonviolent, civil, direct action.
Exactly.
I mean, people are going to have to wake up. I mean, unfortunately, the electoral process is not going to work for us. We're going to have to force it to work for us.
That's a very, very interesting point that I always feel like I hit a brick wall with when I discuss this with people, because Nimesh, we elect these people who make promises, they get in there, they don't do anything. And we want, look, I'm not advocating for anything but peaceful protests, but I think it's like we have to raise our voices even more. And we have to refrain from worrying about not using strategies or protesting in ways that make other people uncomfortable. Protest, unless you're making elected representatives uncomfortable, you're never going to get any kind of action.
Correct. I mean, look, if you see your elected official in public, be polite, be respectful, but ask them, why are you not supporting Medicare for all?
Yeah.
I mean, take out your cell phone. So if you see good old Raja, take out your cell phone and say, hey, you're Congressman Krishnamurthy, right? Why is it that you don't support Medicare for all? Is it because you're taking bribes from the health insurance company? You can call them campaign donations, but I call them bribes. Put them on the
Legal
spot.
bribes.
I want to understand how somebody like Senator Tammy Duckworth, who's a disabled veteran, who understands the challenges that disabled people need to deal with healthcare coverage. I don't understand even when she has been challenged. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've got a little.
That's
my
fine.
little cat is like,
Oh, look at that.
say hello, and then we're going to put her on the floor. Hey, yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. It's always very interesting. So we had someone in our live chat, and I'm glad to see more people interacting in the live chat. And I'll toss this out here so that we can discuss it. Prog Rocker, I agree with you. Please let's stay focused on how to push things forward rather than bashing the people we already know are worthless. It's a good
Okay.
but when we don't know it's out there emerging. Go ahead.
I mean, here's one strategy that somebody just proposed. I was in a group chat, and they said, you know what? The next time you see your physician, ask them if they support a single-payer healthcare system. If they do, then fine. Then ask them to publicly advocate for it. If they do not support it, then just politely tell your physician, you know what? I can't do business with a physician who doesn't support single-payer healthcare. Use your power of leverage as a consumer. That's direct action. Somebody asks, what can we do? That's one strategy. That's just one.
Getting our healthcare professionals on board with it also, our doctors.
Yes. And then, you know what? Healthcare professionals are seen as an authority figure. So, you know what? If they support it, fine. Tell them, you know what, doctor, let's advocate for it together. You know,
Oh,
I mean, that's just,
Aside from challenging our elected representatives when we see them, I guess the other thing though is, and this is, I'm stymied by it. As Prog Rocker said, let's stay focused on how to push things forward. Nimesh, that's a great idea, but what can we do to hold our elected representatives' feet to the fire? Unless it is saying, look, midterms are coming up, and you want me to like vote for you and support you? I mean, is it an absolute withdrawal from voting, from showing like a no confidence vote in the people who are there, who will say everything and then do nothing when they're there? Or, I mean, we're also hoping to find other candidates that are going to step up and primary or challenge those that have been in their positions for a long time. I mean, I think that that's another thing we got to really vet strongly. Challengers to the people who are incumbents who have said they were going to do something and they're not doing anything.
well, go ahead, Joy.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Well, in terms of the idea with the doctors, I was thinking, I don't know if they've done it already, but if PNHP could get their own, like, what do you call it? Like a provider thing where you can search a doctor. And so if the doctor's a member, then you know that they support Medicare for all.
That's
So I
a
think,
good.
yeah. So if they don't have that, I would suggest that they do something like that. And there's like the second largest medical doctor organization that I was trying to reach out to. I can't remember the name of it. They finally got on board with Medicare for all. So if they could join with PNHP and get that going, the network, the provider network, that's it. Do a provider network.
Oh, that's an excellent idea. So somebody can actually look up online. You know, obviously, first thing you're going to have to do is check for each individual health policy. You know, which doctor is covered under my plan. Then you cross-reference it with the Physicians for National Healthcare Plan database. Here's the local doctors who support single payer, and I'm gonna do business with them.
Exactly.
And you know, have people work as a group towards that. You know, that's one methodology. I mean, we're gonna have to strategize direct actions.
And we also
besides this protest, that.
I'm assuming a lot of that will be discussed by those that are speaking at the event.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of strategy, I'm sure, strategizing, if that's the correct word, by speakers with the crowd that's going to be there.
Yeah. I mean, don't forget. I mean, basically, in a nutshell, what this is all about is to keep the flame for Medicare for all alive. I mean, let's face it. Basically, in spring of 2021, the flame for Medicare for all was about to be extinguished, and we kept it alive. I mean, I know people think that it's a small thing, it's easy, but you know what? The stream of public consciousness, right, is continuously moving.
In the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
If ever there was a time in our history that the urgency of Medicare for all coverage as healthcare is a right, you think it was in the middle of a pandemic, but you still got Joe. I'm not going to vote if it comes across my desk when he was running in the middle of the pandemic. If it comes across my desk, I'm going to veto it.
I was like, what? I was so mad when he said that.
I feel powerless and helpless sometimes as we talk about this and about it, because what's the alternative? We know what happened. The alternative with what Senator Sanders had offered, and that was not going to go through so long as other people were pulling the levers behind the scenes during the primaries. But that's a whole other bag of fish.
I mean, I understand what one of the people asked in the chat. You know, let's keep our focus. Okay, I agree.
Yes.
Here's something else that we can do. People are going to have to say, if you're running for public office, if you're going to be a challenger, right, then this is the minimum threshold. And the minimum threshold is Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, universal education.
Yeah.
And,
also,
and if you do not meet those minimum guidelines, then you might as well not run.
yeah. I want to mention to Prague Rocker, we are aware that National Nurses United supports Medicare for all. I don't know when you joined the stream, but we were talking about that earlier in the show, that you've got nurses unions nationwide supporting Medicare for all, and we salute and appreciate that. We were also talking earlier about how we've individually talked with, I mentioned I've spoken with one of my surgeons, a top rated surgeon here in Chicago, who's all for, Medicare for all and some kind of a public option, because everybody knows the costs are just absolutely outrageous. And as Joy mentioned earlier, when she couldn't afford her Cobra with the difficulties that she's facing, it's just, it's unconscionable.
Yeah. Also, what we're going to have is the March for Medicare for All. We're going to have two things going. We're going to grow the numbers by 10, a factor of 10 next year. So if Chicago has 2,000 people,
hopefully,
then next year it's going to be 20,000. And people are like, whoa, how is that going to happen? Simply, we're going to ask the people who showed up, next year you bring 10 more people here. And that's going to be multiplied throughout the country. The number two, we're going to send out, a newsletter that's going to tell people, here's the collective action that we're going to do together. And those collective actions are going to be small that you can do, and collectively it adds up to huge progress. Like I said, perfect example, ask your physician, do they support Medicare for all? If they do, continue to do business with them. If they don't, then find somebody else. And then hold their feet to the fire. Ask them, here's specifically, doctor, that I'm expecting of you to do.
Joy and Nimesh, has the American Medical Association been approached?
I don't think they support Medicare for all. There's this other group that I know does, and I tried reaching out to the local Illinois chapter, but I haven't heard back. So I was going to try and follow up, but I'm so busy, it's hard for me to follow up now that it's coming closer to time for the March, but maybe I'll have them by the next March.
So Bill Price brings up a great point here. Private health insurance is a $9 trillion industry. 100% of people surveyed could support single payer, and it wouldn't even matter. We need to recruit more people to our cause. Bill, you're right. On that note, I have down in our show notes, and I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to read from that. If you are interested in phone or text banking to help raise awareness,
thank you.
Donations in this final week before the event. We have a training tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's 11.
Shoot us 11. Shoot us a message at M4M4all at M4M4all.org to get involved. So anybody watching the show that does want to be Joy. It just blows me away how much you've taken on here, and I know it's not easy, and it can't. It's even harder given the health issues that you're dealing with. And I really want to salute you and Nimesh, both of you, for taking such a lead in this and reaching out to everyone else, like Bill says here in the group, to recruit more people to our cause. Joy and Nimesh need phone bankers and text bankers tomorrow.
Yeah, you know what? I just want to say, when people say, like, I'm a leader, Joy's a leader, other people are leaders. You know who the leaders are? The people who are taking action. And it's people that are I'm going to be off Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I want to be hitting the phones. And I know other people are going to do that too. And so those people are the leaders. If you're participating, whatever you're doing, then you're a leader. Like one of my favorite quotations, I don't know who said it, but it goes like this: when the people will lead, the leaders will follow. So sometimes we have to lead, and then the leaders will follow.
I didn't expect to lead.
You are leading. I just shared a link here to the page that we got up in the live chat, so people can easily click through and sign up
Appreciate
to participate in the march, and reach out to you guys directly if people are interested in helping with phone and text banking also tomorrow.
Yes,
At
please.
11 that's 11 o'clock. I can hear it in Joy's voice. She's overwhelmed people. If it's important to you, to us all, let's get involved in taking part in helping what they're trying to bring together here. So we can take it beyond the march and beyond the speakers and into action as we approach these midterms and figure out how we're just going to hold these people's feet to the fire. What's the next step in getting this out, getting this going? Joy and Nimesh, is there anything else that you want to share that maybe we haven't covered with our viewing audience? I
Yes.
give the floor to both of you.
Well, I was going to say that if you could please share that that donation link, because in terms of the porta potties, we need to have the money to pay for it, and we don't have it yet. We're raising money, and so
Okay. How much do you need for
the
the porta potties?
The porta potties that come, one of them is wheelchair accessible, and it comes with 2 sanitizing stations. So that quote right there is $650.
Wow.
And the sound guy who's going to do sound and stage, that's $700. So I can't officially book them till I give them like, here, have money, and then they can promise. So this is our plan, and we got a quote. So we still got to pay these people. Fortunately, Maggie Brown, she's not expecting payment, but I would like to at least cover her any travel expenses, food if she wants to eat. You know, I'd like to at least do that. If there's extra, I'd like to give her something if I could. Because
that's a lot for a porta potty. To rent a porta potty for the. This is what makes it very, very difficult for activists to get out there and plan these kind of events because of the enormous expenses related to taking care of the crowd that shows up to advocate.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes. And they can follow us on Twitter. There's the main M for All. And then I created one for Chicago that's capital M for small m for small m for all capital C.
It's all below.
Oh, it's in there? Okay, good.
Yeah. No, it's good that you're telling people, but if you can't remember it, everybody who's watching, just scroll down and you'll see in our description and our show notes all this information that Joy and Nimesh are sharing.
Because one thing I've noticed about Chicago is, and I've heard other people say, is that we have so many groups, but they tend to operate in silos, and the communication between them isn't what it needs to be. And it's unfortunate when there are so many common issues where if you could coordinate and work together, you could, be even more effective, I believe. So that was something that I wanted to try and do with this march, is to try and at least get us somewhat connected where we're doing something towards the same thing. But like I said, if we had more time where we could actually have them put aside time to help us more if they wanted to, then that would help even more. But hopefully I've started something that'll get things going.
Well, as Prog Rocker shares with us, and I love this is one of the things I love about the show, is being able to not just have people watch, but have them contribute. Prog Rocker. Here's from an objective perspective that should give you all hope. There are a ton of average people who keep hearing that Medicare for All is a fringe group of people. So this event will make it mainstream. And given the amounts of signups, Joy, that you've shared, there are going to be thousands of people out at this on Saturday the 24th, which will hopefully also get the news coverage that it deserves.
Hope so.
Prog Rocker also says, I assure you this march will do that. I am a consumer behavior analyst.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Prog Rocker. I hope you're right. I want a lot of sorry.
I just want to say that even conservatives, Republicans, it's almost 50% to support, a single payer health insurance system. And that's happening because people are talking about it.
This shouldn't be a political color or the other issue. It's everybody together. And you're right. You're speaking to that right now. I remember during the primaries, I heard a lot of conservatives and Republicans listening to Bernie Sanders because healthcare, lack of healthcare coverage impacted their lives. And this boogeyman terminology of it's socialism. Schools are socialism. The police department is socialism. Firefighters are socialism, right? So you're going to embrace all those other socialized, democratic socialized systems that are already in use here in the United States. You look at every industrialized nation in the world, has a socialized medical program for their citizens, especially in the EU, Canada, Australia. The fact that we've been brainwashed to think that this is socialism equals communism is bullshit. I'm just going to say it. This is the indoctrination that's been put in our heads forever, to keep people weaned on this system of, we've got the best healthcare because we're paying an insurance company that's then going to tell us the fine print of why they can't cover the coverage that we've been paying all of these premiums for. So, it's not a political issue. It's a humanist issue.
Yeah. One more thing. I agree with the person that said, let's keep our focus on what to do. Perfect. You know what? There are so many specific, nonviolent, specific direct action methods. If you go to the Albert Einstein Institute, they've listed 197 direct action strategies that you can partake in. 197.
The Albert Einstein Institute?
Yeah.
I want to type this.
Look that up.
Yeah, Albert.
Yeah. There's like almost 197 direct actions that you can take.
I gotta find it and bookmark it.
And so I know people are asking, "Ooh, what's the strategy?" As if it's like like some we're gonna take this chess move, right?
Actions people can take for what, Nimesh?
Oftentimes in progressive circles, people will ask, what's the specific or what's the smartest strategy, right? And it's like the smartest strategy are the things that people have always used in the past. For example, setting up a tabling.
Tabling.
Yeah, just sitting there. You could be on your Netflix. Somebody walks by or somebody talks to you. You engage with the conversation with them, and then,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then they get 3 or 4 more people to join with you. This is how things grow. This is how movements grow. Yeah. Just take a look at the Black Lives Matter movement, right? The night it started was when Trayvon Martin's killer was found not guilty.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the night it started. And you know what? History doesn't repeat itself, but it follows the same pattern. Civil rights movement started with the lynching of Emmett Till, right? So, and when the Black Lives Matter movement started, guess what? A lot of people said, "Oh my God, that's too militant. Oh dear God, it's not going to work. Can't we just say all lives matter?" etc. And they said no. And look what happened.
Yep.
It started small.
And it grew.
People
embrace it. I also think when you can personalize the conversation with people, one of the things I was talking about before the show with Joy is that I have had conservative friends or people in my circle who are against all these things until suddenly they have a healthcare issue. Then they realize how extraordinarily expensive costs are, and then they realize that when they're not going to get covered. Unfortunately, I don't want to politicize this, but I have noticed as a matter of behavior, it doesn't really seem to affect a conservative's viewpoint until that matter kind of like lands on their doorstep. And I'm willing to forgive that. It's like empathy only starts if you can completely relate. So if that is a starting point, unfortunately, people have to go through a tough time to realize what everybody else is going through, to personalize it. Like, well, have you ever been in a situation, or have you ever thought about, what if you have a stroke, right? You don't think you're going to have a stroke, but if it happens and you've got this healthcare plan that you're paying for, and they're only going to limit what kind of care and medical coverage you're going to get, as opposed to a system that's going to cover everybody and not deny you what you should have, isn't that something that's going to benefit everybody? This mentality of, well, I can afford healthcare, that makes me better than everybody else, and if you can't afford it, then that means you're a bad person. There's like a weird morality element to people who ostracize or stand up and say that, well, if you don't have healthcare, it's because you didn't work hard enough for it, or you're not doing what you're supposed to do that makes me better that I have it, that I can afford it. Recognizing a Medicare for all system or public option system makes a bigger pot it puts the funds into a bigger pot that covers everybody humanely and fairly. I just want to also give shout outs to Kit Cabello, Hardland's media group. He said, "Hello, everybody. We're very proud that he and Daniel will be the Masters of Ceremony on July 24th at the at Federal Plaza." And I mean, we're very proud of everything that you both are doing, what your group is doing, and proud to be associated in helping spread the word here on getting as many more people out to this event, this march, this protest, these speeches to get more public, more news attention, and most importantly, our public officials, elected representatives' attention that we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
That's right. Exactly. That's what
This
we want,
comes from
that kind of fire.
Jim Cree. In my humble opinion, Medicare for All is the most liberating act since emancipation. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean, you know what? I mean, this is the new threshold. I just want to tell people that this is the new threshold. I'm sorry, the new standard, okay?
Yes.
It's a standard. That's it. And you either meet the standard or you don't. So
If you don't, get out.
Yeah. And that's not just for people who are aspiring for political office. It's just, okay, you know what? My physician, do they support Medicare for all? Do they support single-payer healthcare? Fine. I mean, another thing that people can start doing is start lobbying your local chamber of commerce. A chamber of commerce is basically a union of businesses. So if you live in Rockford, Schaumburg, Lakeview, start asking them and educate them that, you know, single-payer health insurance is liberating for small business owners. You know,
It's liberating. It's civilized.
For small business owners. Yeah,
it's humane. If we're a civilized society, as we like to say we are, there should be no adversity to this whatsoever, from a political perspective or from a moral perspective. That you can't afford it, you didn't earn it, you don't deserve it. It's it's bullshit.
Yeah, and you know, something that you said earlier, Jerry, like how sometimes people will not see the need for single-payer health insurance until something bad happens to them. I mean, you know, just have a conversation with people. People who disagree, just have a conversation. Engage.
I would also add to that, Nimesh, given what Joy's experiences are. I mean, Joy, you've gone through far worse than I have. I've been an amputee now for 35 years. Luckily, I have a prosthetic limb. But I banged my body up, my shoulders, my knee. I had to have a knee replacement. I had to have 2 shoulder surgeries as a result of all the wear and tear on my body, overcompensating. So unless you're in a position where you are struck with a disability or unmeasurable healthcare needs, you got to start thinking that way and realizing, okay, well, maybe just because you have health insurance, because you can afford it, because you've got a job that ties you to that job. Do you know how many people lost their health care during the pandemic? They lost their jobs. And if anything else, that should have proven what an absolutely bankrupt system it is, that if you lost your job, you lost your health care. If you don't have a job and you can't afford health care, does that mean you're just supposed to go die? No, it's not civilized. It's not moral. It's not humane. It's not compassionate. So this concept of, you know, we have to have this system in place that ties everybody's health care that they can afford only because they have their jobs. It's unbelievable, which is why we're putting forth the argument we have to have Medicare for all. We have to have a public option. We have to cover everybody in our country because it's just the right thing to do. Oh, Joy, you're okay. Listen, I'd like to wrap up the show tonight. Nimesh went offline. He might have a streaming problem. I don't know if you can hear us, Nimesh, but right now, okay, it's just me and Joy. Nimesh,
1%.
Yeah. On your battery. Listen, so let's bring the show to a close. I want to thank everybody in our group. I want to encourage everybody, please visit the website, sign up, participate. If you can volunteer, all the information is down there. Joy and Nimesh, thanks for joining us tonight. And to the rest of Chicago, please attend the march. Please participate. Spread the word. If it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it here on Chicago Corner. Thanks to everyone tonight. Safe and happy weekend.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Joy. And thank you for all of everything you've done. I really hats off to you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.